The Las Vegas Raiders get the news that everybody wanted to hear, plus a coaching hire and a couple other things that we're going to talk about. What an exciting offseason it's been. I was just reading a Mina Kimes quote saying that the Raiders should be very excited, and Raiders fans should be very excited about the offseason that they're having and about the moves that they're making. But before we get into that, if you don't know who we are, my name is Craig. Me and my buddy Chris started this channel. We have another channel, Sports Talk Detroit, and we admit it. We are Lions fans. So we're hoping with our love for the NFL to give you an accurate view of what's going on in your organization. And the truth is you are set up for a ridiculous or radical turnaround in one season and one offseason. I have never seen a team, you and the Patriots, are set up with draft capital and spending money and new coaching regimes. It is very exciting time to be a Raiders fan, because what if this is the staff? What if this is the GM and Spytech that changes everything? But that's not the good news. And before we get into that, question for you. Who's your favorite Raider on this team right now? Who's the one guy you're just like, when you are envisioning yourself turning on the TV Sunday morning and you're getting ready to watch the Raiders game, right? Early Sunday afternoon, who's the one guy you want to see wearing the silver and black? That's what I want to know right now. But speaking of guys that a lot of people are probably throwing down in the comments right now, Max Crosby. Max Crosby is excited right now, and he hasn't been. Let's be honest. Here's what he said. This was just yesterday. He said, I've had doubts in the past. He told this to PFT Live on Thursday. He said, I feel like this past year was probably the hardest of my career. Battling through injury the whole year, struggling, losing 10 games in a row, it makes you start questioning a lot of things. Now, things get better, but before we talk about what he said that was so much better, I do want to have a conversation and look into Max Crosby. He's not wrong. These are PFF numbers from his career. The 3 years leading into this one, he rated overall as number 2, number 4, and number 4 defensive edge in the NFL. He graded out very, very well, and I think we could all agree he's clearly a top 5 defensive end. This past year, 27th. What I'm trying to paint a picture here is Max Crosby happy, excited, ready to play football is a totally different animal than Max Crosby, who's struggling with an injury, who's struggling with 10 losses in a row. Now, Max Crosby is always going to Max Crosby. He is a good player. There's no doubt about that. He's phenomenal, and he's a guy you want to pay large amounts of money no matter what kind of a mood he's in. But here's what he's added, all right? Here's what he added. He said, this is probably the most optimistic I've been. So what you're hearing now is this is a guy who is excited about who they're bringing. All right? He said, all right, when the hire was happened under Pete Carroll, he said he's a winner. He's done it his whole career, and it's just exciting to see what's going to come. This is really, really solid. All right, if you look at Pete Carroll's record, he does. He has a winning record everywhere he goes. He wasn't even a terrible head coach before he went to USC. People knock him for it. Like, he wasn't that bad. The Raiders have gone 43-57 since Crosby's been there. You have been 14 games under 500, including 11 games under 500 this season. So, yeah, Max Crosby is probably struggling with that. The good news is there's reason to be optimistic. And I think another reason to be optimistic is this coaching staff right here. When you bring back Patrick Graham, a familiar face. All right, we're going to talk about John Glenn, who they newly acquired, right? When you have all these players, for some former players, some good coaches, I guess is what I'm saying. Like, this has become a good staff. And when you're in the league, as long as Pete Carroll has been in the league, you would expect him to put together a good staff. You would. All right. I said John Glenn. That's on me. All right. There is rumor that they're bringing in Joe Woods as their defensive backs coach, and not even necessarily defensive backs coach, but passing game coordinator. All right. He's back with the Raiders, given the title defensive pass game coordinator. All right. He's done a lot under Dennis Allen. It's very interesting. But he has time in the past with the Raiders, with the Saints, so it's kind of a familiar face coming back. Let me know what you think about that one for sure. I think that's something to absolutely talk about. Now, for the other one, Patrick Graham. Are you kind of excited about that? Like, are you excited about what that looks like to bring him back as defensive coordinator? You know, your defense was this year, there wasn't a ton of talent on it. You had a hurt Crosby. I guess I'm just kind of wondering, like, where are you at with this? All right, offseason. You know you have draft picks like crazy. So here's my next question. Who do you want with the number 6 pick? All right, who do you want with the number 6 pick? It's a good question, isn't it? Like, let's look at some of the players that could be available. You got Travis Hunter. Abdul Carter, I don't think he's going to be there, but what if he was? How about Tet McMillan? Mason Graham. All right, Ashton Jeanty. Would you want a running back like that early on, or do you feel like you need to build in the trenches? Would you want a lockdown corner like Will Johnson on the outside out of U of M? Like, there are so many good players, even like a James Pierce. All right, these are guys, Luther Burden. Mike Green was just doing stuff like, do you want to create one of the best defensive lines? This is a solid defensive line draft. You could absolutely do that. Or you could wait till the second round to go D-line and get like a Will Johnson. Like, what is your thought process here? If a quarterback drops to you, would you want a Cam Ward? Would you want a Shedeur Sanders? Would you want to take a chance on a guy like Dylan Gabriel or even a developmental guy like Jalen Milroe while getting a stopgap for this year in a later round? There are so many things that you can do that you have to be excited about. You have to be excited about. Do you go and get a developmental guy like Jalen Milroe in one of the later rounds and then go sign Justin Fields? What would that look like? Or Russell Wilson to be the stopgap in between. Like, the possibilities for this team are absolutely endless, and they have a good coaching staff. They have talent, and they have an excited. Your star player has never been more excited. That is a recipe for success. Hey, if you like the channel, if you like what we're saying, go ahead, hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you on the next one.